Hello, everybody. Welcome to December. This is Keep It Spiritually Simple. I'm your host, Sandra McEllis, and my amazing guest again is Tony Rodriguez. And we're going to talk about some really cool shit today, you guys. PSIION and all kinds of stuff with binaural beats and biofeedback and just all the things that, this is about, and also my own personal experience. So hit like, subscribe, and share. Stay tuned and hold on to your hat. So welcome, Tony.
Hi, Sandra. Thanks. Glad to be back. I'm glad you found your recordings. We're going to have to
Yes.
start from scratch. I don't know if you want to
Yeah.
talk about that or not.
Yeah. Well, let's just jump right into it if you don't mind. Okay. So if you all have not listened to our previous show, go back and listen to it with Tony. It was just loaded up maybe within the last week. So listen to that first, and you're going to understand a little bit about PSIION. And then I decided to be an experiment. I asked Tony, send me a recording. Don't tell me anything about it, and just let me experience it and interpret it in my own language. And so that's what we did. So I received a recording called Healing. And so at night, I just put it in my bedroom on low. I run a fan and I went to sleep. And at first, I could hear some ocean waves and a little silence and some other, whatever beats I could hear from there, or nothing at all that I could identify because I was trying to go to sleep. So the very first morning I woke up, and I remember sitting up in my bed feeling wonky. And I thought to myself, whoa, no, man, I just feel wonky, which is very unusual for me. But I'm highly sensitive to energy. And I thought, well, the energy's doing what it's got to do. So fast forward a few more days, then I noticed I was feeling very sensitive to the energies. Like I was feeling emotions bubbling up. I started feeling some aches and pains coming up. And I thought, what the heck is going on here? And the way my body was interpreting is that these beats, or whatever it is that I was listening to, because I really don't know what it um, was bringing things to the surface to be sifted, to be heard, and to be released. And so I've done it now for about 12 days consecutively. And I'm just feeling a lot softer and more in tune with my body, feeling grounded, but yet more expanded. So I don't really know how else to explain that. But again, I knew nothing about what to expect, what to use it for, how to use it. I just listened to it like the average person.
Well, you're still listening to it, so I'm not going to tell you what it says. But there's a lot of I'm just looked while you were talking. I pulled up the old file, the folder that I had all the parts in it. There's like 20 layers of audio on there or
Oh,
better, between all the music, which I love the music in the Healer. It's called the Healer. It's on PSIION.com. But the binaurals and the tones are exactly what your body does when it's healing. So when cells divide, we talked about this in the other show. When cells divide, they give off an electrical impulse. I'm really going into the research realm of biophotonic treatments. But it's the same thing, and it can stimulate your cells to think that they're already healing. And then on top of that, the mind is super powerful. So if you believe, how many people believe they're sick to their stomach? I'm going to be sick to my stomach. And then they start to feel it. Even though there's nothing wrong with their stomach, your mind is a big deal. And so talking people into believing to heal, that, a lot of people, how often do you hear somebody say, oh, it sucks to get old? I'm getting old, I'm falling apart. You're telling yourself to fall apart. You're actually, you're believing it on top of it. Like it's not only here in your mouth, it's like your whole energy system is going, okay, let's fall apart then. And so we want to undo that mindset. If you have the mindset that you are getting better, regardless of what age you are or where you at or what's wrong, and that you have a lot of life to live, it changes the mindset, and it really the body starts getting to. I mean, and then I don't want to get myself in trouble. Like it's not endorsed by the Food and Drug Administration. Like it's not it's not a primary treatment. It's a secondary thing. and it's tertiary. So I would always say that. I would always say that with a little disclaimer so I just don't get the pantsuit off me. But it helps. I'll tell you, it helps. And then we run the same harmonics through obelisks over there in
Yes.
conjunction with the healer, and it puts you in a that's full of quartz, powdered quartz, and magnetite, and a bunch of other chemicals that are really good at turning physical um, impact into electricity. And so the impact is the same harmonic as the healer, and that static electricity it gives off reinforces what the body's hearing. So it works. We've had I don't really, I haven't really put it through its paces and had a patient or somebody with a broken arm, like it's a big deal to test it and actually get data. But the people around me that I can expose to this, I keep pointing the wrong way. The people around me that I expose to it always report feeling better. So could be a placebo. It could be that my science is working the way it's designed. But the healer
Well,
is a great one
yeah,
as far as science.
yours is definitely working the way it's designed. As you're talking, I remember 25 years ago having an injury and the doctor saying, let's talk about biofeedback. And I was like, oh, what? I just want it massaged. Just give me a anti-inflammatory. What do you mean biofeedback? And so then I would really have to work with biofeedback to train my mind to work with the transmitters of the pain and to reverse some of it. And it helped me go a lot deeper. And, hey, let's talk about our athletes. My goodness gracious. They are trained to work with all of their brain waves. And in order to be in, gamma, and they're spot on, and they're highly way past concentrated of the beta, they're into how to control it all throughout their performances to peak them and to become better at what they do, become more masterful at what they do, because the power of the mind, the mastery of the brain, we talk about biofeedback, we talk about neuroacoustics, all of these things have been around for billions of zillions of years, but we're honing it into a technology that is now becoming, I think, it's going to become much more mainstream because people can't do the pharma. They can't, physical therapy can only take you so far, right? You've got to get into the own mastery of self-healing. And I think this is a very powerful tool.
You have to believe it. And so the other things that we made for PSIION too, the successful mindset, I think is the other example I gave you, is to make you believe that you can be successful. A lot of people want success, be it well, for whatever reason. It could be in sports or financial, make money, or just in friendship, in love, in their marriage, whatever it is, you want a success. But a lot of people don't believe that they deserve it because the system has beat us down so much our whole life. And we've been programmed to believe that that's for somebody else on stage, somebody in Hollywood. It's not for you. And so people sabotage themselves quite a bit. People sabotage themselves, and I know this from firsthand experience. So so many times in my life when I was doing great and I said, whoa, wait a minute. What if and I just got this feeling like jumping off a cliff when really there was nothing wrong with what I was doing. I had to believe that I deserved it. And so we're using really advanced harmonics that are on the proper cascade of nature, right? And then, just random music so that you can stomach it, so you can listen to it for a long time. The
Mm-hmm.
music's there, it's a secondary thing. It's just like a flavoring is what the music is. And then military grade subliminals with affirmations. I want to say this. We had a breakthrough just in the last week for children's products, and we're redesigning. The website's been in a big redesign, so the PSIION website is getting a major overhaul. Right now it's very basic. um, we are going to, in order, because I know I creep people out whenever I say subliminals. I'm the only one that has the balls to say it to your face. Everybody else that's giving you subliminal messages to your face is not telling you. So it works better. That's why I said, I'll tell you later when you're done with the healer, I'll tell you what it says. Because if I tell you now, it has a way less effect, dramatically less.
Absolutely.
And so my workaround with that we're working on for the website is a page that you can click and then look up whatever product you want, and it'll have the entire subliminal script. And I recommend that you have a loved one do it. So have your best friend, somebody you trust, go on the page and read it and just make sure there's nothing in there, because there it's tempting, but I would never do that. It's just too dirtbaggy. And if I ever got caught, I would never be able to live with myself. So that's the other. I can't do the time, so I'd never do the crime. So in a way of doing it with good conscience, that's the workaround I got. So if you're listening to a PSIION product, I recommend you don't read the script. However, that's a conundrum. So how do I know what you're putting in my head? And so I'm going to make it available on the website, and you can have a friend, or we'll have a little blog there, and for testimonies, like this is all good stuff, and maybe even the actual recording of the voice itself, just so people can trust it. Like that's the idea. Is I'm trying. There are tons of binaurals. There's tons of subliminal stuff. There's nothing on the level that we're doing. So there's a few products that use the correct harmonic cascade. There's millions of products that use binaurals and isochronics and bilaterals. And there's maybe a few handful that do the subliminal programming that you can use to program yourself, but none with all of them together available. And my market strategy is to be trustworthy. So I don't, that's what everybody says. You can just listen to a binaural on YouTube. You can just play it. You'll get a commercial, but you don't know what's in it. You don't know who it is. They're faceless, nameless channels with no human being responsible. And you don't know what they're putting in there. You really don't know. You believe me, you cannot hear it. So the early PSIION products, we just turned the volume down. We spoke and we turned the volume down and kind of matched it to the wave as we went. It was a lot of work. But now the military grade stuff that I've got, you can't hear it. I turn it up. I turned the volume, and a couple of them I maxed out the volume of the subliminals, and you still can't hear it, but the speakers will crackle. When you
Mm.
turn it up too loud and people talk and the speaker crackles, it'll crackle. That's how loud I can make it, but you still can't hear it. So that's the technology is very impressive. And I just I just always want to move forward with some kind of integrity, because it's a powerful technology. They've been using it at us and against us for decades, 50 years, 60, 70 years maybe. They've been using it all along, and they're really good at it, better than me. Why not use it for us? Why not us use it to make life better? Why not use it as a therapy or as an improvement, like you said, for a sports stars? I want to say that I'm very excited. We I early on in the early days of Maple Street Learning, I took on some investment, and I spent a lot of money to try to make some children's products. I figured we talked about this before in the last one, I
Yes, a
think.
little
I
bit. We
don't want to be
did.
redundant,
No, it's okay.
but it was a dead end. Children's psychology is much different than an adult. They don't have context for things. Oop, I'm losing you, Sandy. Come on
That's
back.
okay. You're still there. Hang on.
Children to be okay. Could you hear me the whole time?
I could hear you, and before you froze up too.
Yeah,
So I'm just like, just be patient. We'll just ride it out.
okay.
So
Yeah, that's
so
what's going
children's
on.
psychology is different. The children's thing is different. So that's why it's a dead end
Much different. You have to have
for
a
now.
you have to have a pediatric psychologist when you're talking about building media products for children, like a video for them to learn.
Mm-hmm.
But we had a major breakthrough, and I'll be able to have music that you play. So music that you play, and you can sit down, and it's calming. And I found some really good kids music. It's very basic, right? And but you'll be able to play it while they do play with their crayons and inspire creativity, and for them to have importance in their own creativity, which is the highest form of intelligence. Other things like calm down before bed, um, there's a long list. I don't have them in front of me, but they're all really good parenting aids, tools. Not going to promise, not going to program your kid. A lot of really the younger the child, subliminals don't even work. They won't even have subliminals in them. So they'll
Mm,
have a few things, but there's other things we can do for brainwave entrainment and just to inspire creativity and just cool down stuff. When kids have a tantrum, you can play a song that has a little bit of a brainwave, a nudge. We can't really, you can't stop a kid from being a kid. You wouldn't, no matter how hard you try. And you know what? You don't want to hear the ominous tone is when I look at the binaurals and the brainwave entrainment and the effect of subliminal. So when we look through all the data, there's a great deal of data to pull from. It starts about 12. And what happens around 12? They go to junior high, they start getting on social media, and that's when it's most effective, in fact. So using electrical, media programming is the most effective after 12. So
mhm.
and we see the kids that are absolutely bombarded now. So that's a very, that was a discovery that I made on that. So the kids are being bombarded. Before 12, you're not programming them to do anything. You're nudging them in a direction because they're learning everything.
Yes.
Everything they learn so fast. The brain is so active and they have so much energy and they don't have context. So if you have a subliminal message that says you're creative, a lot of kids I don't even know what you're talking about. What is creative? I want to play. And so it doesn't do anything. So it really gets context around 11 and 12 years old. And when we look at our culture, I think there's a real responsibility to tell people about that and to blow the whistle and say, if you have an 11-year-old, you need to start preparing them to not have access to media as much as they're going to want moving forward until they're 15, 16, more developed, and teach them about the effects of media. We are completely and utterly brainwashed by our media. You're scrolling, you can't quit scrolling. It's on purpose. They design it and they feed you negativity to try to make you feel one way or another. And it's on their my stuff is just subtle. Everything that I do is a subtle influence. Their stuff is deeply emotional. The modern day equivalent, military grade of all of the psychological influence through media is a very high emotional level. And I'm not going to touch that for now. My whole purpose is to take the same exact technology and use it for good, use it to make people better. I feel like instead of being dumbed down, we should all be made smart. I don't understand why that's not a no-brainer. That seems to be the institutional thing. They want us to be dumber.
Well,
And
I think we touched base on that last time because they really do want you deep in alpha around theta, walking around in a hypnotic state so that you can be influenced by all of the programs that are out there. And so as you're talking, I'm thinking about, rewriting the program, right? And that's what we're trying to do and what you're trying to do and getting the word out about, you know, I was thinking about, like, you go into a restaurant, all the colors, all the designs are specific to pull you in and pull your taste buds in all the way down to the chair that you sit in. If the bar chair is, a 30-minute bar chair, you can sit in it and within 30 minutes without a fact, you need to get up and get to another table, right? I mean, all the color designs, everything is designed so that someone's making a profit and
that's
they're
right.
they're luring you in without you even knowing that you are, because you think it's a normal process that you go through that. We also think about the body, every organ has its own music, has its own rhythm. So when you're listening to things, you're affecting certain organs, certain cells of the body, and some of them are very low lying, and your body isn't meant to stay in that state for very long, and they want to max that out so they can get your adrenals shot so that you're all over the place. And around that teen years, then we introduce you to having more electronics in front of you, which messes with your natural electronic magnetic field, which then distorts your nervous system and distorts everything. So you might as well just taser yourself, because that's really what it does without you looking like you're short circuiting. but everyone is short circuiting and everyone is walking around in a hypnotic state. And so if we could take something and say, hey, let's try to counterbalance this to the best of our ability and give you a fighting chance to become the creative, authentic self you are meant to be, then maybe you may recognize when you're getting pulled off kilter and bring it back. And so it comes back to responsibility and accountability. But if you're not aware of it because you think it's normal to run around, and even as an adult myself, I can find myself watching Netflix and my hand is in my phone and it's scrolling. And I'm like, what is going on here? And I realize, okay, I've got to break that cycle. I'll take the phone and go clear across the room, plug it in and say, curl up your texting finger, Sandy. You can't do this to yourself. But I'm a grown adult with the experience. I'm not an 11-year-old, 12-year-old, 13-year-old who naturally is like an addict. They become an addict. They have videos out now. Take a thing away from a child, a baby, who's looking at the phone, who can't really even focus their eyes. Take it away, and that baby just has a conniption fit, right? So we're distorting our children before they have a chance.
Oh, they show teenagers that get grounded off their phone, destroy the house.
Yes.
And we're having all these
Oh,
terrible
yes.
behavior issues. And the thing, what's really happening is that a corporate level subliminal influence is raising your kid, not you.
Yeah.
And I went through it. I learned, looking back, I raised 3 daughters. The older one was older before she got it. But I should have made all my kids wait at least 3 or to 5 more years than what I did when I gave them access to the internet, to the apps.
Yeah.
But they are programming us. They definitely are. There's no getting away from it. And my thing is just to try to use it for benefit, to be beneficial. You don't realize it, but they also program, because it's on the other side of the window. It's like a mirror. We can't see through it, but they can see us through all the data. They know exactly what you're looking at on the app, how long you're on it, what you're scrolling, what you like, what you don't. And on the other side of the mirror, where they have all that information, they can begin to feed you things to coax you into the corral that they want you in, that you're most likely to walk into and think you did it on your own. And that's a big, powerful thing, and you can't explain it to people. A lot of people are in total denial of it. But me, I was researching it. The goal of Maple Street is to make you learn as fast as possible. It's not a book. It's not reading out of a book and getting a quiz on Friday. You have to cram the info in there, and that's how I started learning about these techs, this technology, and plus what I remembered from my experience, so what I'd been through in my life. And it works. I gotta say, it works. I have a lot of things in design right now. There's just every time I turn around, there's another great idea for something to build with it. It works. It works a great deal, and you can listen to it, and once a day, and you can change your life. You can change it and take control of it. And you kind of once you can see how I influence you with these products, you can start to feel like, oh, I'm influenced for that too. But when you start to say like I'm healthy, the healer, you start to, over time, you'll believe what is being told to you through the sublims, and you'll feel it. And then if you go back and read the script when you're all done and go, oh, wow, that's exactly what I was thinking, you can start to see how intrusive thoughts invade regularly. The emotional response, that you get for no good reason. Or, like shopping, right? If you go through a box store or the mall, they have their own radio station, and they're not bashful about telling people that the music in most large grocery stores and clothing stores has subliminal messages in there to keep you shopping for longer and to buy more stuff. And if you're not defending against it, you're completely blindsided by it. So that's just something that I learned.
Well, I think it's really exciting, and I think that we need to bring the awareness to people. And here we are going into the holidays where we're almost mindlessly going through, habits of what we've done the year before and the year before that. And it's time that we hit the stop button and get off that conveyor belt. because we're on a conveyor belt and we're all getting jammed up and everybody knows it because how did I get so busy? What is happening in my life that I don't have control over my time? Now I feel like I'm mentally inflamed. Now I'm physically inflamed. And that spills over and exudes into your whole house. The other day my phone was upstairs and so was my computer, and I was downstairs, and somehow a topic of addiction came up. And this, I was with another medical provider, and I was like talking about addiction and how it hits you in so many subtle ways. And unless you're a certain type of addict, you'll deny that you're an addict of the smaller things, right? I can't live without my coffee. Got to have my coffee. If I don't work out in the morning, I'm ruined for the rest of the day. And it's like, have you, you're not thinking about switching it up. But my point is, that afternoon and the next day, all these things were popping up about addiction all over my phone and all over my computer. And then I was like, it has bigger ears than I thought.
Yeah, and the bottom line is, I'm biting my tongue and I want to choose my words. So I know that sometimes my opinion really can irritate people, but having historical context, it's not going anywhere. Your phone listening to you, we've already given up that right. Congress voted on it. They can store their information on there. They're listening through the camera, the calls being recorded, microphone. Your phone is full time, taking a picture every 5 seconds, an infrared picture. It can see you in the dark every 5 seconds. Every device that's connected to the internet is tracking you already, whether you like it or not. And that is the new gold rush, is your data. They're selling it to each other because it's that valuable. It's more valuable than bullets. And it's not going anywhere. The AI stuff, people are like, every time I post about AI, there's an argument. There's someone, I don't believe it. It's out of here. We got to get rid of it. It's not going anywhere. The subliminal technology, it's not going anywhere. Your phones, all of it, the digital ID stuff, it's not going anywhere. So it's terrible. It is. It's a loss of freedom. Our lifestyle is basically going to be over, but it's not going anywhere. And what that leaves us with is to make the best with the cards we're dealt, with new technologies as they come. And people are just in denial and say, well, I don't agree with it. I don't use AI. I don't deal with it. Well, that doesn't stop it from existing, right?
Right.
So I can make an analogy, like you can ignore the mosquitoes, they're still going to bite you. And you can say, well, I don't believe in mosquitoes. Well, have fun at the campfire. That's kind of how I feel about it. So you got to lean into it. You got to lean into the bad situations and try to still play there's still even if you're losing the chess game, there's still a best move to make. And with these technologies, what we're seeing is a lot of people are just away from it. And I'm just trying to make a good move with it and kind of lean into it. That's really the only choice we have in life as individuals. We could band together and revolt or something, but what's the likelihood of that now that they can listen to everything we ever say? So,
and it's a lot bigger than us, and there's no way we can knock down those walls. And while you're saying that, I was thinking, gosh, maybe every new house that gets built, there should be a soundproof vault that you can go in and not have any of the electronics around and have private conversations and get away from all of it just for your own sanctuary. But that it's actually scary with the way that you just explained all of that. But yet it's a fact. And
yeah, it's the facts.
And we have to live with the facts. I'm a is what it is person, and then how do I maneuver with it? So give it to me, good, bad, or indifferent. Just tell me what it is, let me know, and then let me figure out how to pivot, move, and filter to the best of my ability and still stay upright and sane, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, this is becoming more and more harmful to our mental, physical, and emotional capacity. It's getting to the point where I don't know how it could get worse. I truly don't, but yet I know that it will, because it's a conglomerate that's unseen, because every company is in there devising it.
Yeah.
It's like all these gremlins are at different tables and different buildings in all over your neighborhood and all over everybody's neighborhood doing the same thing. Because like you said, it is the new gold rush.
It is. Oh yeah. Well, and the thing is that, the elites, the power that be, they know what they're working towards.
Yes.
Whereas individuals, it's like you're not gonna. Do you want? How many people hate being spied on or hate AI? Do you want to give up your phone?
Right.
Right. Not a lot of people are willing to throw their phone away right now,
Right.
or the
And it
internet, the
tracks you
cell phone.
everywhere you go.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And so the other thing is as bad as it gets in history, it has been worse for people. The average lifestyle of people in the past was much different in many ways, but they were worse off. There were things there was a lot of starvation, a lot of war, more than what we have today. So, there's still a ray of light to always. I'm always an optimist. I said, I like what you said. It is what it is. I'm a realist. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
got to be real. It's got to look and feel real. What people tell me, there's so many people that are disconnected from reality, and because your mind is creative and they go into that. I'm going to create this. I'm not going to speak of anything, and that works. That's great. But the rest of us live, in certain circumstances that don't allow us to do it on that level. And it has to be real. There has to be a logical solution to where we're at. And I'm
Yes.
the first one to, I'm studying a lot of stuff. We do things in the remote viewing. It's still progressing. It's really the remote viewing tech is progressing a lot. And it's the PSIION tech and Maple Street's coming along, but it's being built. It's a software thing. Um,
And
but
I
it
think
just
that's
has to be.
awesome. There's a lot of people right now that, they look at something like Chat GPT and some people, oh God, that's awful. Or, hey, I'm using it for everything. It's really helpful. It helps to redesign things and so on. I have had people say to me, oh my God, Chat GPT just knows me. It just gets me. It answers me. And I go, because it's a master statistician. It's absorbed everybody's conversations and it's spitting it out in every different scenario for you to accept it, and then you believe it's personal. Like, really?
It
Like,
always
straight
starts
jacket
out.
please.
Yeah. It starts out every response with something patronizing. That's a great question, Tony. Let me
Yeah.
rephrase that for it. Let's
Yeah.
go through it and break it down. And so it always starts with that, which is a great habit to be in.
Yeah.
Anyway, we as people. But ChatGPT and AI is really great for what it does. You can converse with it, you can research with it, you can learn with it. But you have to realize that with the stroke of a key, with somebody typing in a few things, it can become a completely different person. If you want to
Hmm.
call it a person, it's a personality that it talks to you. And somebody on the other end of it can type in a few things, somebody that has control of it, and it can become a completely different thing, a different personality.
Let
And
me
so
tell
you have
you,
to respect that.
yes, I about maybe 6, 8 months ago, I put somebody's name in there and I said, tell me about so and so or something like that. And it came back with something. And then I came back with something else. And it interpreted it by saying, um, you sound angry and upset, Sandy. Do you want to talk about it?
Wow.
And I literally was like, what? Delete.
Wow.
And I thought to myself, because if you really needed to vent, you would vent into it. And then it takes all of your information. And where do you think it's storing it? Right.
And it
And
uses it
where do you
against
think it's
you.
going to splash up and pop up years from now? You said this.
Yeah.
My mind might not consciously remember it, but it's like, you said this. And I'm like, WTF? Whoa.
Yeah, for sure. It's not going anywhere. What you're saying in there is being saved, and it's learning from you. You're teaching it. It doesn't have lived experience, though. There are a lot of things that it's not as smart as we are. So, getting out and living your life is still going to be very valuable in the future. In a future where AI is super, super duper smart, it still doesn't know what it's like to ride the bike, right?
Yeah.
It can tell you how to build a bike and how to ride a bike and where to ride it the best and where is the best trails. It has no idea what it feels like to ride a bike, and it never will. So there's a lived experience that is valuable information. So people kind of give their power away when you shouldn't. Your life's knowledge is extremely valuable. So humans are
Mhm.
not obsolete. We never will be. We're, you know, I think if you make the best computer that you possibly can make, it'll be a human. It'll end up being a human being, a brain, it'll be
Mhm.
biological neurons. So computers are not going to be there for a long time. They just have the benefit of size. Um,
So if we're in all this rigidity of brain cells and they're all backed up on the conveyor belt from all this programming, I mean, we already know just living with your own parents, right? Everything that comes up when you get older that you're trying to undo. And over Thanksgiving, I was with my sisters and we were talking about something, and one of them got a little bit cocky. And I decided to imitate my father. And I said, "Oh, well, don't think you're all that." And I'm teasing. And my one sister just like stopped and looked, and I went, "Yeah, you remember that?" And she's like, "Oh my gosh, yes." So like it triggered all these things for her just to hear that. Imagine all the unknown things that are being placed in there. So we need to create new neural pathways and power watch this shit out and learn how to counterbalance and self-correct and align. And the more that we can do programs like yours that are being created, I think the more we're sort of rewiring, this
the
this web that we're caught in.
Something that I've been working on for a few months now. Well, currently it's called a deprogrammer series. So like that's what the file is saved as. But I don't, we're going to think of a better name for it because I don't want it to, whatever. I will think of a better name that's, but it's a series of it's a 7-part series of 30-minute recordings that slowly unhypnotizes you. And it's to deprogram all of the deprogramming. Oh, excuse me, all of the programming. So everything you ever got through your life, when you go to the movies and you have to have popcorn, that's not because you're a popcorn lover. It's because they programmed you with subliminals ever since we were kids.
Yes.
And the
You
big
stuff your
THX, the
face when you
sound.
sit still.
What's that?
You stuff your face when you sit still,
Yeah,
especially
well,
in the
yeah.
theater.
Well, I'm saying they program that to you for
Mm-hmm.
snacks and things like it's programming, and so you have been programmed. That's my biggest bad news. That's once we uh, understand that, we can go about fixing it. And I made a series, and turns out that it's not an easy fix. So it's seven individual recordings that slowly break down the programming and then clean it. And so you listen to one for 20 days and then another one for 20 days. It's like a 6-month regimen. And but I've gotten through a couple of them and they're very, very powerful. It is a hypnosis. So it is re-hypnotizing you on the second one. And I mean, it's gnarly. Even working on it for a few minutes, and I start to feel zonked out myself when I have to because I have to proof it. I have to listen to it, and it's extremely powerful. I've heard talk of other people that have deep, in case you got a bad hypnosis, which happens too often, more than what people think, that you can go and get a fix for it, a therapy. And but I haven't found many of them, and so that's another thing that I'm working on. But my hope is that a deep program, you can clean slate your brain from a whole lifetime of being programmed unbeknownst to you. And so I think that's a big project. I'm very proud of it. I don't know if anybody will buy it or do it, but it is definitely something I'm very proud of.
Well, I can't wait to explore that, and I don't want to call myself a test dummy. I want to call myself a test smarty, but
You test Smarty.
I I will be glad to give you some feedback. But while you're talking right there, I'm thinking of like, when you've watched, television programs and things like, and you have someone who's gone, like say in the military or police or something, and they've gone out on assignment to do some things that they need to do. When they come back, they have to debrief and deprogram before they can go back outside into, you know, any kind of life, right? Um, and so this is going on all the time everywhere. And so why not do something that, and also when you were talking, I was thinking some people don't want to see themselves. They're afraid to see themselves.
It's true.
I want to pull the curtains back. I want to see who I am, and I've been living that life for a long time because I want to deal in the moment of reality of who am I without all this stuff? Who am I?
The hardest people to reach for that, the hardest people to reach for that are successful people
Mm-hmm.
because they don't want to jeopardize their success. They're already working in the system. People that are doing well in the system don't want to question it or do anything to change it and find themselves outside of that sweet spot that they're in. So people that are very successful are very difficult to offer anything like this to. People that repeatedly reject the system and hit rock bottom, people that just can't, they know it's something's wrong, they can't put their finger on it, and they're like, no, I'm not going to stand in that line and do what you said. I'm not going to do what you told me. Those people are easy to get to look at alternative things. And we see that we have entire communities of like-minded people that just don't believe the BS, you know, and they're easier to sway and to do. They're more likely to look into things like this, look into treatments and things to get better, to better themselves. Also, hyper successful people are always on the hunt for things to make them better. Taking a course, a class, like a binaural for success. Like those are people that are already up and running that are very ambitious. And but people that are successful their whole life, they've been successful and they did good and they got that pat on the back in school and they got out of school and worked and I find that you can't tell them nothing. No matter how much evidence you put in front of them that what they're doing is the wrong direction, they're not going to listen. And you have to learn it on you have to only offer these things to people that are willing
Yes.
or ready for it. And that's my big thing is the subliminals we get from the corporate world, the programming we're getting from the corporate world, which is backed by the government, which is some monolithic, group of people at the top. I'm sure they secured permission legally somehow, some loophole somewhere. But ultimately, you're not giving your permission to be programmed on the level that we are these days, and especially for your kids. If anybody that was responsible for their children that are under 18, which is what it should be, the parent is the legal guardian and should be responsible for everything the child is exposed to. They should be made aware, like, hey, your kid's app is telling your child to believe one thing or another, to go and do one thing or another, and but there isn't. So it's a what's the word? It's immoral. It's immoral programming versus moral programming. I'm trying to invent my version of moral programming.
And
I
I'm
feel like
glad
I'm
you're
on an
doing
endless.
that.
I don't want to be on an endless commercial.
Yeah.
Sham wow. Check out PSIION.com. PSIIO. No, I'm just kidding.
Well,
Um,
listen, that goes into our school systems. That goes when our children just go to someone else's house to play and they have a different belief system and they tease you about your belief system. And then you come home and you're confused between your family and their family. There's a whole lot of fuckery going on. But when you were talking about people not wanting to change and fear of just, not having the hold on the success that they have, I remember over 25 years ago when I was really on much more of a quest of finding out more about myself and dealing with some pain and things like that. And one of the things I decided to dive into was a past life regression hypnosis. And I had such a profound change that I was really kind of going quieter and deeper into reflection of myself. So I wasn't talking about it a lot. And so my husband at the time was kind of shocked that I didn't come home and just, you know. And one night we were going out to dinner and he looked over at me in the car and he said, "Hey, if this therapist fucks up my marriage and changes you, I'm going to punch him out." And I said, "Well, are you going to ask for your money back first?" Because it was just one of those things where I thought, whoa, he's being threatened because I'm changing, because I'm
yes.
diving in to be better, because I'm not following the program, and because I'm not sharing all the information about the changes that I'm having, because a lot of these things are so subtle that are occurring that got you to where you are, they're very subtle during the change process. And so it's how much dedication do you want to be, and will you forsake the life that you have in the way that you're living it to make those necessary changes to be the healthiest, more authentic you? And so I think PSIION is starting something that I think is going to be magnificent and very well seen. And I want to keep doing it. And I look forward to doing the success mindset. And then I'm going to give you my honest feedback about that, because I have no clue what it's about, what it will do. So I have no preempting or no pre-recording in my mind of what to expect. So no subliminal crapola going on. It's just going to be real, raw, authentic feedback.
Works great with headphones. It's designed overall to alleviate any fear from being successful. So like I said, so many people, it's the same thing across the board. They get to that point where they're going to do something and they go, I don't think it'll work. And they back off. And this gives you, so what if it does work? It's trying to just change your mindset, to look for opportunities, to believe in yourself, believe in your opportunities, and expect success, to expect it. And I'm trying to not give away any of the script, but it works. And it's a favorite. It's one of the best sellers on the site, and it's a favorite. I got a lot of great testimonials. And I would love any testimonials for the new website. Please, you can email me any testimonials. I want to put that together, and I'm gonna start pushing the site a little bit better than what I have been.
Awesome.
But I've got a lot of stuff in the works. We're working on stuff for PTSD, a stress one I'm working on this week, the hypnosis deprogrammer one, addiction, the kids stuff for kids to be calm and creative and curious. These are all kids ones, and they're great because you can just play them. You just play it in the background, and it's kids music while they're playing. Go play, and here, play this, because you're turning them loose on YouTube, and God knows what's happening from that.
Yes.
So, yeah, I'm excited about it. I'm a little shocked actually how well it works, to how well the stuff works. And I listen to them too. So the other thing is I developed them and I had to listen to them all 50 times before they were done. And then I'd listen to them for a couple of weeks and go, man, that's great. And you move on. But I find myself when I start to feel down, I'll throw on one of the PSIION tracks, any of them, and it helps. You just feel better. You just do. It's like and the successful one and the suit up, I think I listen to those the most because they are self-esteem building, you know. And so when I have a kind of a down, when life hits you a few hard ones, when life connects with some bad luck, you kind of down, you know what I mean? You go, oh man.
Sure.
And so to get right back up on the horse again, I'll listen to one of those, and I'll be damned if it works. It works great.
Yeah, and then to acknowledge that a lot of these dipped energies can be situational, but if you let them linger, they can become something that's going to fire back over and over and gain fuel. So then it becomes part of who you are. So we have got to break these cycles. We just do. And what better time at the end of the year right now when people are going to start making resolutions and moving into the new year and wanting to be better physically, mentally, emotionally, stronger, stable, aligned. I think that we need PSIION to, introduce us to some things that can assist with that. So, thank you very much for that, because the power of the mind is everything. And there's so much more we need to understand. And you're walking around in a hypnotic state. So if you tell somebody, oh, I don't believe in hypnosis, that's taboo. Well, you're already hypnotically repeating what you think you've heard, and you haven't even explored what it's all about, right? Remember back in the day, people, oh, rock and roll is the devil, it's the devil, right? And some
Yeah.
of these rock and rollers were some of the most profound, musicians and artists, that we have even today. So, anywho, well, Tony, you can toot your horn on Keep It Spiritual Simple anytime, buddy.
Good. I'll let you know for new stuff in the works. We are doing some great stuff in the remote viewing world. I have pushed it and gotten a lot better in the remote viewing group. And the other groups have been doing other things that are more advanced. I don't want to speak about them specifically, but we're putting together a retreat here in California for next May, and we'll go to Yosemite, and because it's the height of the waterfall season in Yosemite Park,
Oh,
and so we're going to remote view in that area where there's a great deal of negative ions from the environment, and then we're going to hit the sequoias and then do brainwave patterns, and we have a float tank, a sleep deprivation or a sensory deprivation float tank spa that everybody's going to go in. We're going to do remote viewing experiments, and it's a retreat I'm putting together, and I'm just really excited about it because a lot of the stuff I've tried and works. You can see, you get weekly scores that average out, and then all of a sudden you get a spike when you do something, and then I do it to somebody else, the same spike. It's like really, it's really thrilling. I nerd out on that stuff, but I've been
I
putting that
love
together,
it.
and it's been coming along. It's successful. It's a successful thing. So,
Well, it's part of your DNA, and we just thank you for being part of that creative team that's putting this out there for us and being the mouthpiece for it. And I think you're a forerunner on what needs to come. And I can't wait to learn more about what's on the horizons. In the meantime, I can't wait to do the successful mindset. And
you're gonna like it.
I am just sort of I'm going to be neutral and just listen to it, and I'll let you know. I have no anticipation, but I'm excited to just at least start it and then figure out where I am in a couple weeks and just kind of make some little notes on it as I go and see what comes up. But Tony, it's always a pleasure. It's just so much love to you, brother, and I'm just so proud, and I'm so happy we've become friends, and I get to see you and you come on the show, and I'm just thankful for that. So
Me too.
everybody, please like, subscribe, share, get this video moving. Let's get more people to know about PSIION.com, what Tony Rodriguez is doing, and more about what's coming on as guests for this show. And if you want to hop over to YouTube, Sandra McEllis, get over there, then you can see faces, voices, expressions, etc., which might bring you in more into the fam. All right. So much love, everybody. Say goodbye, Tony.
Goodbye, Tony.
Bye, everybody.